Oh boy, crossing over into nearly 500,000 downloads this month. We are committed at the Lance Wallnau Show to giving you news from a different perspective. We're trying to give you the news that you need to hear, not the regurgitated factoids that are coming from all the other press locations, because something is happening right now that is historic in nature, and I don't want to miss it. Got Mercedes Sparks here with me in the Command Central here in Dallas, Texas, the epicenter of the populist movement, trading places occasionally with Florida. So here's the deal, Lucille. Something is happening right now on the border. Now, I'm not talking about the southern border. We're going to go to that in the second segment. I've got a real sizzle interview with Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. We're going to talk about a populist uprising. We're going to be stoking the fires on that one in a minute. But right now, I want to go to the northern border. It seems as though the borders are the issue, whether it's the Ukraine and Russia border, which for some reason the Biden administration is obsessing over, or whether it's the northern border, which right now has, of all the ironies, the bridge called the Ambassador Bridge is the bridge where the truckers are making their stand. This bridge that goes between Detroit and Windsor, Ontario, has about 23% of the economy. You know, Canada's not a very complex, large country, large landmass, but not large and complex in terms of structure. It's got its, 5 or 6 regions set up from left to right. And as you go across them, Ontario is the epicenter right now of a whole lot of activity because that's where 23% of their economy comes through from North America into Windsor. Now, the truckers are on the bridge, and they position themselves there. These guys are thinking a couple of steps ahead. And what they're doing is they're saying, we want our freedoms back. And what it's doing right now is it's pushing Trudeau into the position of having to turn over all of his cards. And the cards that we're looking at in this, we know Canada's like a more socialist kind of, if you want to be a draft dodger Vietnam, you went to Canada. It'd be like legalizing marijuana or something faster. We always knew it was kind of like a little bit less aggressive than other Western cultures in the cultural sense. But there's something strange about Canada. They're also conservative in terms of a lot of their other values. And one of the things we're discovering is the trucker, middle class, working class people of Canada are displaying a remarkable, surprising degree of civil resistance against the mandates of the Trudeau hyper-left government. But what we're looking at in Canada is something far more intriguing. It's a working class mobilization that has such diversity. There are Sikhs, which is an Indian sect of Hindu. There's women, there's black, there's white, and they're being labeled as white supremacist Nazis. This is the cards I'm talking about. When the left turns over cards that are blatant smear tactics to destroy your enemy by demonizing them, it can only work if you're dealing, let's say, with a faction like these are Trump supporter, right-wing Republicans. But when you're dealing with their labor class, you've suddenly hit a tripwire because these are socialists, left-wing, American version, left-wing progressives who are now exposing another card. And the card is they will label their political enemies and misrepresent them for the demonization and destruction of them. And secondly, they aren't for the working class. They aren't for the little guy. They aren't for the union. They aren't for the man on the street against the machine. They are the machine. They are the Death Star. They are Darth Vader. They are going to suppress and destroy you. And the media is being exposed as another card. Because to get the truth about what's going on, you got to go to outside Canada because all of the major networks are owned and operated by the corporations that are in bed with the pharmaceuticals and the politicians. So here you've got this ghastly alchemy that we're still trying wake up to in America. They see the cards easy now in Canada. They can't get news coverage. The news coverage is all like CNN. It's adversarial. It's talking points for the Trudeau government. But Rebel News is on location. And what's happening is you've got these like Getter and Gab and, Real America's Voice. They've got alternative sources now that the nations are turning to say, well, this reminds me of the Old Testament when they'd have these prophets that would come into a king and say, they'd prophesy exactly what the king wanted to hear. You're going to go up against your enemies will flee. And then like there's one great scene where there's a king called, I guess it's Ahab and Jehoshaphat. And Jehoshaphat says, all right, after these prophets, all the CNN prophets, the MSNBC prophets all say what the government wants to hear them say. Jehoshaphat goes, we're about to go to war. Do you have any other prophets here that we haven't heard from yet that maybe have other opinions? And the king goes, yeah, we got one. But I hate it when he comes out because he never says what I want to hear. And out trots like Tucker Carlson. And so they bring out this prophet, Micah, and he says, yes, you're going to go and you're going to win. You're going to win a big one. You're going to have a great time there, O king. Go for it. And the king goes, how many times do I have to tell you? Don't prophesy what everybody else says. Say what you're hearing God say. He goes, here's what I heard. I heard that since Israel has no shepherd and you're no king that God can use, that I see the whole nation scattered on the hills. And the king turns and goes, you see what I mean? I never get a good prophecy from this guy. And what's amazing is the king Ahab knew the prophecy was true, but he didn't want to hear it. That's the Democratic Party. They don't want the facts. You could tell them crack pipes aren't a good idea. They don't want to hear it. You could tell them that attacking the middle class and seizing their trucks and finding them $100,000 is going to go over badly in the polls, but they don't want to hear it. And that's the part that to me is cosmic. I think this is where the gods, or God himself, is actually at war against this system to give us a delay, give us time. Okay, Mercedes, you're sitting over there like you got 100 things you want to say. Say it.
Yeah, no, I just think I'm listening to you. And I think the thing that kind of strikes me the most is that, I really do think that we're in a battle for belief. We're in a battle for believing in really the cause of freedom globally. And all the world powers, right? You've got the 2030 agenda. We have Davos. They can envision their reality. And it's almost like that entire thing, to your point with the media, all of that is being forced on us from a government level, from a media level, education, from top down onto the people. When the reality is our government, especially the American government, Canada, I can't really speak to, but that Constitution, when our founders penned that is the greatest form of government that has ever existed and will ever exist. And the battle to maintain a free republic and liberty and the stand for liberty is something that fight is not uncommon. It's a fight that our founders went through. It's a fight that we've gone through time and time again in this country. And while the battlefield might look different, media might look different, technology might look different, it's the same battle. And the thing that I think is most encouraging about the truckers and most encouraging about the things that you talk about, Lance, about a populist movement, is that at its core, the government is here and is put together for and by the people. And its ultimate goal is to serve the people. It's here for us. It is not a top-down authoritarian dictatorship. That is not our form of government. And it's just something that I think we're really, truly, in a new way, awakening to that. It's stuff that we know, but we're in a battle right now to fight for liberty and to continue to fight for our republic. And so it's encouraging to see that really globally and to see a grassroots movement coming up out of the North. Who would have thought that it would come up out of Canada? But I just pray that people around the world, and especially in America, can really have vision for victory, can see reformation happening. Because if you can't see it, then you can't have faith to believe for it. The Bible says faith is a substance of things hoped for. So if you don't have hope that education can be reformed, that our government can be reformed, that blue states could turn red, if you don't have hope for that, then you don't have faith for that, which means you can't move mountains and those things can't come to pass. So anyways, those are my thoughts. And back to you.
Yes, well, so Civil War. Let's talk about it. Since I want to bring that subject up, how many of you guys, if you're in the chat thread, tell me, we're doing a survey now. How many of you think America is heading for civil war? Now, when I say that, I'm not talking like one of those weird extremists. I was listening to a Tim Pool do one of his casts. For 4 years, he's been noodling on the idea that the differences between the left and the right are so extreme in America that we become so us and them, so balkanized into tribes by the left, I might say, that will not find common ground for America, not in our documents, not in our founding documents, not in Christian culture, not in civility, but they attack the very documents themselves. America is founded on racism. Therefore, burn it all to the ground and start over. So when you're dealing with anarchists, when you're dealing with illogical people, how do you reconcile? Tim Pool is saying that he's looking at some Newsweek articles and other things and saying, you know, the nature of this Civil War isn't going to be like the North versus the South. It's going to be a different kind of war, but it's already, in a sense, starting.
Hey, I hope you've enjoyed what you've heard so far. This is just a segment out of our entire podcast, but I'd love to give you access to the entire broadcast, and it's going to be at lancewallnau.com/podcast. Go there, and you can sign up and get the entire unedited, uncensored message.